Okay, so I wanted to ask you about something that's been in the news. It's controversial. Conor McGregor, he is apparently being investigated by the Irish authorities, the Irish police, for inciting online, supposedly. They're concerned that he was inciting violence online because he is outraged about a stabbing that occurred recently in Dublin. There's an immigrant, an Algerian immigrant, not a native of Ireland, has been there apparently about 10 years and had just gotten residency status there. Went crazy and stabbed two children, permanently maimed one of them. One of them's going to have permanent health problems from this, and then also stabbed people who tried to intervene and help. And Conor McGregor basically went off on a rant and he said that people need to realize that the Irish were never slaveholders. They were never colonizers. They themselves were the colonized, and they're not going to give in to the same kind of white guilt that so many Europeans and Americans have, which has caused them to accept massive levels of unhealthy immigration from immigration of people who don't share the same values as native Europeans. And he said that Ireland is at war and that he and others are not going to stand for the bullshit from politicians anymore when it comes to these open door immigration policies. Um, how does that ring true for you? Any of that?
It was the same way it was 12 years ago when I left. You know, it was disgraceful then, and it's disgraceful now. And yeah, man, I say to girls when they're on set or guys when they're on set, I'm not like any of these American white boys out here. I'm not poisoned by the bullshit in their schools and their media. Fucking nonsense, man. That's a good statement he made there. I'm proud of that. Good on him. Investigated. That's ridiculous. The fact that there's an investigation or that the authorities, that's an insult. Furthermore, reason why he should run for Taoiseach and president. How can you investigate the fella? You know?
Well, there are all of these new laws in Europe now, and like for instance, in Great Britain, they arrested recently a guy was arrested for heckling in the crowds. He was at a sports event and he was heckling a female, I believe it was a female soccer player, and he was arrested. So now in a lot of these European countries, it sounds like it's come to Ireland, you don't have free speech. That if your speech is seen as in any way being harsh or misogynistic or racist or inciting people to violence, as Conor McGregor was accused of, then you actually can be charged with crimes.
Good luck with that. I wish them luck with that. Did you see what happened last week in Dublin? My father lives on the street that two of them fires were set on. Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. Now, granted, he lives on the top floor and he looks down at it all. However, he the fires were on the street that he lives at. Like, did you see that? Them poor two kids got bleeding stabbed by that bleeding foreigner. And then there was an uproar. You try see if they drop charges on Conor McGregor for some nonsense like that, what happens to that police station, okay? Yeah, just like I said, I'm not cut from the same cloth as these punk-ass American white boys. Yeah, Ireland, man, they don't take guff from any swine over there. It's nuts.
Would you say that most people that you know in Dublin, are they angry about immigration in Ireland? Do they share Conor McGregor's feelings? Because like I saw someone posting and they were saying that um, she was talking about how her friend who was American had gone to Ireland as an exchange student or to spend some time, and she was amazed at how many even left leaning, very liberal Irish were angry about immigration and said that we don't want all of this immigration.
Yeah, no, it's nuts. Like they're bankrupting everybody else. It's the same. It is the similar thing to here in America, where like they're bankrupting their own country for what? To help strangers. Now I get it. The idea, just as the words come out of my mouth, to help strangers. How benevolent, but it has to come from a place of strength. You can't be running up your own credit card while you're paying for your neighbors. All right, you can't bankrupt yourself while you're trying to feed and clothe your neighbors. All right, like yeah, that has to come from a place of strength. Like, why can't they have their own nations? Why do they have to come to ours? Just like here in America. Like, what's the jig? You know?
Right. Well, and I think that one of the things
Well, the
that
big
Connor,
thing I have to say, people are. I know in Ireland it's a big uproar with the women being raped and beaten. Okay, like
right.
particularly Africans and the Muslims. All right, like whatever the fuck it is. All right, like I have cousins that work in the police force. I have cousins that work in the docks. All right, like it is what it is. Like that's what the statistically the biggest problem with the immigration is. All right, is
Yeah.
the very harsh violence. All right, I mean I've been to Africa. I've been to several countries in the Middle East. Yeah, you don't want like there has to be border control, just like here in America. There has to be border control. You don't want criminals just getting let out of prison in one country and then getting to go to another country. There has to be accountability.
Right. And I think that's what a lot of people feel is lacking. And you mentioned the rape problem. People,
Mm.
I think a lot of people who have an open attitude toward refugees don't understand that, yes, while we can't make generalizations about everybody in a population, there are real differences between cultures and
Oh,
refugees that come, particularly a lot of men that
well, they
come
come from
from,
countries where women's clits have been cut off because they see the women
yes,
like second class citizens. Do you know what I mean? It's like for a woman to raise a voice at a man, they'd get punched. You know what I mean? Like it's unfucking believable some of the brutality that people in America are fucking clueless to in this world.
right, that is true. And so that's like, the rates of rape and sexual assault in a number of countries in Europe have been going up dramatically, like in Ireland, and people don't realize it's not natives committing those rapes. It's just like in Germany with what happened in at the Cologne party, where what 1,000 women were sexually assaulted outdoors at that party in Germany, and the government wanted to keep it really hush hush because it turns out that it was all migrants playing a Middle Eastern game called Taharush Gamia, where you trap women in a big crowd of men, and then the women can be assaulted by all of these men who pass her around, and it's obviously horrible. And so,
So you're saying they brutally gang rape her in a very nice way, correct? Like this is fucking crazy shit. When I was in Dubai, that's what they used to do. The biggest crime rate when I was in Dubai was Western women being fucking driven in cabs to like construction sites, and then yeah, literally 50 fucking guys would just keep them there for whatever amount of hours till they all had their turn, you know. And if they fought back at all, they'd beat the fucking shit out of them, you know. And then when they'd go to court, and they'd catch a few of them, you know, what would the judge say? The judge would say, "Ah, oh, you're a Western woman, you're dressed like a hooker, you get treated like a hooker. There you go."
right, right. And people bring those mentalities with them. And no, I'm not making generalizations about everyone. And I've dated people from Middle Eastern countries. I have friends who married guys from Middle Eastern countries, cool, very gentle or whatever. But across the board, there are cultures that have way bigger problems with women than others, and who have a criminal element or a misogynist element, or frankly just a rough element from that don't understand Western ideas about women's rights and autonomy and freedom to dress however you want and not invite sexual assault and those sorts of ideas. And so people need to understand that when you allow people into your country, if they are different than you, even as a group, not everybody, but as a generalization, if there are differences in attitudes, then you're taking those into your country and it will have an effect. And the sexual assault rates in Ireland have gone way up since this immigration began. And you look at it, it's not native Irish committing most of these assaults.
My mommy and my sister won't leave the house after dark. Well, my mommy will because she's crazy and she carries. She be a tough time if anybody tried to attack my mommy, you know. But my poor sister, she won't leave the house after dark. God bless anybody that would try to attack my mommy. Jesus. She's a Krav Maga instructor. She's waiting for somebody to attack her. She just wants to kick off, you know.
Well,
That's probably why she goes out so much at night. She's welcoming it, you know.
and we have a whole tradition, and many have pointed this out. We have a whole tradition in Europe and in America of the Western Enlightenment, where we had a kind of a detachment from our absolute adherence to religion and religious doctrines, and a literal view of a literal view of life according to the Bible. Right? We got away from all of that, and really, except for some fundamentalists. Whereas in a lot of these countries where people are immigrating from, you were talking about Islam. It's a different kind of it's a different kind of attitude toward women and toward faith and toward life, honestly. All right, so what do you think? You think things will kind of die down, or you think more people are going to get outraged about this in Ireland?
If you think that people are going to get smarter, going to get better at understanding problems, or going to get better at solving problems, then I think
no,
you're
but
on
I'm asking,
drugs.
are people going to continue to be upset in Ireland? Like we saw protests several days ago over these stabbings. Do you think that this is going to continue? This is going to grow, or do you think people will kind of just accept it? Because it seems like
No.
there's been a real sea change in
Yeah,
opinion.
no, like no people. I mean, it was going on before I left. All right, and so I've been gone 12 years now. I was up back there last year. Like, yeah, people were complaining about it then because it's just it's a quality of life where Ireland, we've always been a country of neutrality, you know, where we weren't in just like what Conor McGregor said, like we were the oppressed, we were the enslaved, you know what I mean, the blacks over here give out about, you know, 100 years of slavery, try 800, buddy, you know what I mean, like stop, you know.
Right, right, right.
The It's ridiculous. Yeah, the Irish, man, they'll get out of the European Union. You're not going to have some like, because that's what the European Union really is. All right, it's the same idea what Hitler was trying to do in the 40s. All right, but just repatent. Okay, it's like, oh yeah, let's get you all into the one banking system, and now we tell you what to do. Ireland's not going to settle for that. Just like other places have been getting out of the European Union. Look, at the end of the day, we're all just working for the Rothschilds, okay? And they decide how much pocket money to give all the countries.
Well, on that note, we'll end it there.
Yeah,
But
go check out my links, for the love of God. Blowing up all over the place, TikTok, and all the other sites I won't mention. But the link tree is there. Just for the love of God, check out the link tree. And yeah, if you have any questions, inquiries, or concerns, hit me up. I consider myself a specialist in teaching men and women how to keep their muscles hard. There you go. There you go. God bless.